It was a cold evening, the kind of evening when the wind carries silence across empty streets. The lamps were glowing weakly, and the air smelled of rain. He was walking home slowly, thinking about nothing important, just another ordinary day ending. But sometimes, the most ordinary day hides the most extraordinary secret. As he turned the corner, he saw a small figure standing near the edge of the road. At first, he thought it was only a shadow, maybe the shape of a tree or a sign moving in the light. But when he stepped closer, he realized it was a little girl. She stood alone, her hair wet from the misty rain, her small shoes muddy, and her big eyes staring into the distance. Something about her felt unusual. She did not cry. She did not call for help. She just stood there, quiet, as if she was waiting for someone. For a moment, he thought she might be lost, but then he noticed something else. Her eyes were not the eyes of a normal child. They seemed older, deeper, almost glowing with a strange kind of wisdom. He walked closer and asked softly, "Are you all right, little one? Where is your family?" But the girl did not answer. She only tilted her head and kept staring at him. There was a mix of innocence and mystery in her face, as if she carried a secret too big for her small body. He felt uneasy, yet he could not walk away. Something about her pulled him closer. The street was empty, no cars, no people, only the sound of dripping rain from rooftops. He thought about calling the police, but something inside told him not to. This girl was not simply lost. He bent down to her level and asked again, "Do you need help? Where's your home?" Finally, she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost like a whisper carried by the wind. She said, "I cannot go home. They are watching." The words made his skin crawl. He looked around quickly, but there was no one in sight. "Who is watching?" he asked, but the girl only shook her head. She reached out her tiny hand, cold and trembling. He hesitated for a moment, then gently held her hand. It felt strangely light, as if she was not fully real. Together they began to walk. He thought maybe he could take her to the nearest police station or ask the neighbors if they knew her. But after only a few steps, the girl suddenly stopped. She pointed toward the dark alley, her small finger trembling. He followed her gaze but saw nothing but shadows. Still, his heart beat faster, as if danger was hiding in the dark. He whispered, "There is nothing there." But the girl's voice cut through the silence. "They are hiding. They want me. They will not stop." His mind raced. Who was she talking about? Was this some kind of game, or was she truly in danger? He wanted to ask more, but before he could, the girl pulled her hand away. She ran quickly across the street, her steps almost soundless. "Wait!" he shouted, running after her. But she was faster than he expected. He turned the corner where she had gone, but she was gone, completely gone. It was as if she had vanished into thin air. He stood there in the middle of the street, rain falling heavier now, breathing hard, trying to make sense of what just happened. For the rest of the night he searched. He looked behind the houses, down the alleys and around the small park nearby, but the girl was nowhere to be found. Finally, soaked and exhausted, he returned home. His mind could not let go of her strange eyes, her strange words, and her sudden disappearance. As he lay in bed that night, he could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her standing in the rain again, silent and mysterious. Her whisper echoed in his ears. "They are watching." Who were they? Why was a little girl alone on a cold evening? And most important of all, where had she gone? Morning came, but the questions did not leave. He went about his day, working, talking to people, pretending to be normal. But deep inside, he felt marked by that encounter. He had helped many people in small ways before, but this girl was different. She carried a story that was far bigger than him. He just did not know it yet. And so the first chapter of his strange journey began. Not with thunder, not with fire, but with a quiet little girl who appeared in the rain, whispered a warning, and disappeared like smoke in the night. He did not know that soon she would return, and with her, she would bring a truth that would change his life forever. Days passed since the mysterious evening. He tried to forget, but his mind refused. The memory of the little girl standing alone in the rain would not fade. Her words, "They are watching," still echoed in his head like a strange warning. He wondered if it was only his imagination. Maybe he had misunderstood. Maybe she was just a lost child. Yet deep inside, he knew it was more than that. One morning, while he was preparing his coffee, there was a soft knock at his door. He opened it slowly, and there she was, the same little girl standing quietly, but this time she was not alone. Beside her stood a woman, tall, pale, with long dark hair that framed her tired face. The woman looked nervous, her eyes scanning the street behind her as if she expected someone to follow. For a moment, he could not believe what he saw. The girl looked calmer now, holding the woman's hand. He bent down and asked gently, "Is this your mother?" The girl nodded silently. The woman finally spoke. Her voice was soft yet heavy. "Thank you for helping my daughter that night. She told me everything." He invited them inside, though his heart was full of questions. The woman refused tea, refused food. She sat near the window, her hand never letting go of her daughter's small fingers. She looked restless, always glancing outside. He noticed her clothes were simple but strange, not like anything common in the town. They looked handmade, almost as if from another time or another place. He asked, "Where do you live? Maybe I can help you get back home." The woman shook her head quickly. "We cannot go back. It is not safe." Her eyes darkened. Her voice dropped lower. "They will find us if we go back." The words were almost the same as the little girl's whisper days ago. The girl stared at him with the same deep eyes as before, but this time there was something softer in them, as if she trusted him more. She drew something on a piece of paper from his table, lines and circles connected in strange patterns. He looked at it carefully. It was not a picture of a house or a tree like normal children would draw. It looked like a map, or maybe a code. When he asked her what it meant, she only said, "It is home." The mother quickly took the paper away, folding it with shaky hands. "She should not show that. Please forgive her," she said. He could feel the fear in her tone. He wanted to ask more, but he also did not want to push too hard. They stayed for a while, mostly silent. The mother seemed lost in thought. The girl wandered around his small living room, touching books, looking at photos, almost curious about everything. It felt as if they had never seen such simple things before. Finally, when the rain started again outside, the mother stood up. "We must go," she said. Her eyes carried both gratitude and sorrow. "But I will never forget what you did for my daughter." Before leaving, the girl looked up at him. Her lips parted and she whispered, "You are different. You will help us again." Then she held her mother's hand tightly, and together they stepped outside into the wet street. He stood at the door watching them fade into the distance, his heart full of confusion. That night he could not rest. He replayed every detail, the strange drawing, the mother's restless eyes, the girl's quiet words. Something about them was wrong, or perhaps something about them was too right, too real. He felt a weight inside, as if their story was now tied to his own. The following day, he walked through town, searching, hoping to see them again. He asked some neighbors, but no one had seen a woman and child like them. It was as if they had appeared only to him, invisible to everyone else. The silence of the people only deepened his curiosity. Later, when he returned home, he found something lying near his door. It was the folded piece of paper the girl had drawn on. He opened it slowly. The strange circles and lines stared back at him, but now he noticed something more. Among the patterns were symbols he had never seen before, glowing faintly as if the ink itself was alive. He felt a shiver run through his body. This was not a child's drawing. This was a message. He sat down with the paper under the lamp, studying every mark. The symbols reminded him of stars, maybe a constellation, or perhaps it was a machine, something far beyond his knowledge. He remembered the mother's fear, the girl's whisper, the words, "They are watching." And suddenly he felt it too. He walked to the window and looked outside. The street was empty, but he could not shake the feeling that someone, somewhere, was truly watching. The little girl had returned, but with her return came more mystery. Who were they really? Where did they come from? And why did the mother seem so afraid of going back? He did not know yet, but one thing was certain. His life was no longer ordinary. His path was now connected to theirs. And whatever truth they carried, it would soon change everything he believed. The strange paper with glowing symbols never left his table. Every night he looked at it, and every night it seemed to shine a little brighter. He knew it was not just a drawing, it was something important, something that connected to the girl and her mother. Days went by, and he saw no sign of them. Still, his mind stayed restless. He could not return to his normal life. He checked the streets where he had first seen the girl. He visited the small park, even the dark alley where she once pointed. But there was nothing, only silence. Then, one night, as he was walking home again, he saw them. The mother and the little girl were moving quickly down a quiet street. Their steps were careful, their eyes alert. He decided to follow. He told himself he only wanted to make sure they were safe, but in truth, he wanted answers. They moved toward the edge of town, into a small patch of forest where few people ever went. The deeper they went, the darker it grew. The trees whispered in the wind, and the ground was soft with fallen leaves. He stayed hidden behind the trunks, his footsteps quiet, his heart beat fast. At last, the two stopped near a clearing. The mother knelt down and pulled something from under her coat. It was a small device, round and glowing faintly. The girl touched it with her little hand, and suddenly the air around them shimmered with light. Strange shapes appeared in the air, floating symbols, spinning circles. It was like a doorway made of light. He gasped quietly. He had never seen anything like it. This was not from Earth. This was something far beyond human science. The girl looked happy for the first time. She whispered to her mother, "It still works." The mother's face, however, was heavy with worry. She looked around nervously, her eyes scanning the shadows. He wanted to step closer to ask what this was, but before he could move, the mother spoke in a low voice. "We cannot stay here long. They will find us." The girl nodded, bowed, and her eyes drifted toward the trees. Suddenly, she turned her head and looked directly at him, even though he thought he was hidden. Their eyes met, and he froze. The mother followed her gaze and saw him. Her face turned pale. She stood up quickly, placing herself between him and the girl. "Why are you here?" she demanded. Her voice was sharp, filled with fear and anger. He raised his hand slowly. "I mean no harm. I just wanted to understand." For a long moment, silence filled the clearing. The device glowed softly, the symbols spinning around them like stars. Finally, the mother sighed. Her shoulders dropped and she whispered, "You should not have followed us, but maybe it is better you know the truth." She motioned for him to come closer. Though hesitant, he stepped forward. The girl smiled at him gently, as if she already trusted him. The mother's eyes were still cautious, but her voice softened. "We are not from this world," she said. The words struck him like thunder. He wanted to laugh, to deny it, but the glowing doorway behind her was proof enough. She explained slowly, "We came from a place far beyond your sky, a world torn by war, a world where my people are hunted. My daughter and I escaped, but we are not safe even here." Her voice trembled, but her eyes held truth. He listened, unable to speak. The girl added softly, "They want me because of what I can do." She lifted her hand, and the symbols in the air bent and twisted at her command. Lights danced like fireflies, creating shapes that looked like planets and stars. He stood there in awe. His mind struggled to accept what his eyes were seeing. The mother lowered the device and the light faded. She looked at him with sorrow. "Now you know, but knowing makes you part of it. If they discover that you helped us, they will come for you too." Her words were heavy, but he did not step back. Instead, he whispered, "Then let me help you." Her eyes widened with surprise. "Why?" she asked. "You owe us nothing. You could walk away and forget this." But he shook his head. "I don't. Because I cannot. That night I found her alone in the rain. I cannot forget her eyes. I cannot forget her words. This is bigger than me, but maybe I was meant to see it." For the first time, the mother's eyes softened. A tear slipped down her cheek. She nodded slowly. "Maybe you are right. Maybe fate brought us to you." The girl reached out her small hand again, just like she had the first night. He held it without hesitation. Her touch was warmer now, stronger. It felt like a promise. The forest around them grew darker, and the wind carried an uneasy sound. The mother quickly put away the device. "We must leave. They are closer than I thought," she whispered. Her fear returned. Her eyes darted through the trees as if shadows were moving. He looked around too. His heart pounded. He did not know who they were, but he could feel danger pressing in. The night no longer felt empty. It felt alive with unseen eyes, watching from the dark. The mother grabbed her daughter's hand and looked at him. "Stay hidden. Do not follow this time. We will return soon," she said. Her voice was urgent, but her eyes carried trust. She pulled the girl away, moving quickly into the forest. He stood there, breathless, staring at the place where the glowing doorway had been. His mind was spinning. The truth was bigger than anything he had ever imagined. They were not from Earth. The girl had powers he could not understand, and he was now part of their secret. As the night swallowed the forest, he realized one thing. His life would never be the same again. The night after the secret in the forest, he could not sleep. His body lay on the bed, but his mind replayed the glowing doorway, the spinning symbols, the mother's fearful eyes, and the girl's quiet power. He knew now that they were not ordinary. They carried a truth too heavy for the world to see. He thought about her words, "They will come for you too." That sentence would not leave him. Who were they, and how could they reach even here? His small town always felt safe, but now every shadow outside his window felt like it was hiding something. The next day, he tried to live normally. He went to work, he spoke with neighbors, he bought food at the market, but in every corner, he felt a pair of unseen eyes watching him. He noticed strangers he had never seen before, men standing too long near the bus stop, a car parked on his street that never moved. His chest grew heavy with suspicion. That evening, he heard soft knocks again at his door. He opened it quickly, and there they were, the mother and the little girl. But this time their faces looked more serious. The girl clung to her mother's arm, her eyes wide with fear. The mother stepped inside and whispered, "We do not have much time." He closed the door behind them, locking it twice. The mother sat down, her body trembling slightly. She looked at him with tired eyes. "You know our secret now, so you must also know the danger. We are not the only ones here. The hunters have followed us across the stars." His breath caught. "Hunters?" he asked. The word sounded sharp and cruel. The mother nodded. They are soldiers without mercy. They hunt people like us, people who escape from the war. They believe my daughter holds something they want, something they fear, and they will not stop until they find her." The little girl looked down at the floor. Her small hand squeezed her mother's tightly. She whispered, "They are close, I can feel them." Her voice was calm but filled with certainty. He shivered at her words. She spoke not like a child, but like someone who carried knowledge beyond her years. The mother leaned closer to him. "That night in the forest, you saw what we carry. The device is a key, but not only a key, it is a map, a door, and a weapon. That is why they chase us. That is why we cannot stay in one place for too long." Her voice cracked with the weight of the truth. He tried to understand. "But why come here? Why Earth?" The mother's eyes softened. "Because it is hidden. Because it is quiet. Because we thought no one would look for us here. But they are smarter than we believed. They are already searching, and they know we are near." His heart pounded. He looked at the girl, so small, so fragile, and yet at the center of this storm, he felt anger rise inside him, anger that anyone would want to harm her. "Then let me help," he said firmly. The mother shook her head. "You do not understand. If you stand with us, you risk everything, your home, your life, your world." But he did not move back. He whispered, "I already chose when I first held her hand in the rain. I cannot walk away now." The mother stared at him for a long time, searching his face. Finally, she sighed. "Then you must know everything." She told him about their world, a place where cities floated in the sky, powered by energy drawn from stars. A world that was once peaceful until war consumed it. Soldiers of the hunters spread fear, destroying families, taking children with gifts, children like her daughter. The little girl had the ability to bend energy, to see paths in the air, to create doors between worlds. She was the last of her kind, and that made her both powerful and vulnerable. He listened in silence, each word digging deeper into his heart. The mother's story was filled with pain, wit, loss, and yet with unbroken strength. He realized she was not only protecting her child, she was carrying the weight of an entire people's hope. Suddenly a sound broke their moment. A sharp thud outside, footsteps too heavy, too many. The girl's eyes widened. "They are here," she whispered. The mother stood quickly, pulling the device from her coat. The glowing circles spun into life once more, filling the room with strange light. He rushed to the window and saw dark shapes moving between the trees, men dressed in black, their eyes glowing faintly like machines. They were not human, or at least not fully human. The hunters had arrived. The mother grabbed his arm. "If you truly wish to help, then you must choose now. Stay hidden and safe, or stand with us and fight." Her eyes burned with urgency. The girl looked at him too, her small voice steady. "You are different. You will not leave us." His heart pounded like a drum. Fear clawed at him, but another feeling rose higher. Courage. He nodded. "I will not leave you." The mother pressed the device into his hand for a moment. Its warmth surged through him, as if it was alive. She whispered, "Then you must trust us, no matter what happens." The footsteps outside grew louder, shadows closing in around the house. He looked at the mother, at the little girl, and he realized the dangerous truth. His life was already tied to theirs, and there was no turning back. The air grew heavy as the dark figures closed in. The sound of boots crunching on wet ground echoed like drums of war. The little house, once silent and safe, now felt like a trap. He could hear his own heartbeat louder than the footsteps outside. The mother's hands moved quickly. She held the glowing device tightly, her fingers pressing patterns that made the air hum. The girl stood beside her, eyes closed, whispering something he could not understand. It was like a song, soft but filled with strange power. Then, the front door shook. A heavy bang rattled the frame. Another strike followed, louder, more violent. They were trying to break in. He grabbed a wooden chair, the only weapon he could find. His hands trembled, but his eyes stayed fixed on the door. He had never fought in his life, but now there was no choice. The mother looked at him, her voice sharp. "When they enter, you must not let them take her. No matter what, protect her." Her words pierced his heart. He nodded without hesitation. He had already chosen his side. The door burst open and the hunters stormed in. Their movements were quick, unnatural. Their eyes glowed faintly, like cold fire. They were tall, dressed in black armor that shimmered in the dim light. One of them pointed directly at the girl, his voice metallic and cruel. "She belongs to us." He swung the chair with all his strength, smashing it against the hunter's chest. The sound of wood cracking filled the room, but the hunter hardly moved. Instead, he turned his glowing eyes toward him, grabbing the broken chair and tossing it aside like it was nothing. He stumbled back, fear gripping him, but he refused to run. The mother activated the device, and a wall of light burst between them and the hunters. Symbols spun through the air, forming a barrier. The hunters struck it, but the light held for a moment. The girl raised her hand, and the barrier glowed brighter, her small face filled with focus. But the hunters were strong. Their fists pounded against the light, each hit shaking the walls of the house. Cracks began to spread through the glowing shield. The girl cried out, her voice strained. "I cannot hold it!" The mother pulled her close, whispering, "Just a little longer." He grabbed a heavy lamp from the table and swung it at another hunter. This time it hit the side of the helmet, sparks flying as the metal bent slightly. The hunter growled, a sound more beast than human, and pushed him hard against the wall. Pain shot through his back, but he stood again, blood on his lip, rage in his eyes. The mother shouted, "We must leave now." She pressed the device, and the air behind them shimmered into a swirling doorway. Through it, he could see only light and endless stars. It looked both beautiful and terrifying. But before they could step through, one of the hunters pushed his arm through the fading barrier. His hand reached for the girl, his metallic fingers just inches from her. The man threw himself forward, tackling the hunter with all his strength. They both crashed to the floor. The hunter's grip missed the girl by a breath. He struggled under the hunter's weight, fists pounding against his chest like hammers. His vision blurred, but he refused to give up. With one final effort, he grabbed a shard of the broken chair and drove it into the gap in the hunter's armor. The creature roared, sparks flashing from the wound, and fell back. The mother pulled him up quickly, her voice desperate. "There is no time. Come with us." The girl held out her hand, her eyes filled with tears. The doorway behind them flickered, the stars inside swirling faster. The hunters roared in anger, their shadows filling the broken room. He grabbed the girl's hand, the mother held his arm, and together they leapt into the light. The doorway closed behind them with a crack like thunder. The house was gone, the hunters vanished, and only silence remained. When he opened his eyes again, they were standing in another place. The air was cool and heavy with mist. Strange trees surrounded them, their leaves glowing faintly in the dark. Above, the sky was not the same sky he knew. It was filled with 2 moons and countless bright stars. He staggered, breathless. "Where are we?" he asked, his voice shaking. The mother answered, "A hidden place between worlds. We are safe here, for now." But her voice carried no relief, only the weight of what was still to come. The girl hugged him tight, whispering, "You saved me." Her small arms trembled, and he felt her heart racing against his chest. In that moment, he realized the truth. He was no longer just a witness. He was part of their fight, part of their survival. The mother looked at him, her face pale but strong. "You chose to help us. Now there is no turning back. They will not stop. They will come again, and next time, it will be worse." He nodded, wiping the blood from his lip. His fear was still there, but something else had grown stronger, determination. He looked at the girl, at her innocent yet powerful eyes, and whispered, "Then we will fight together." The mist shifted around them, the strange forest alive with whispers. The night was calm for now, but the war had already followed them. The hunters would not stop, and the next attack would be even greater. The hidden world was quiet, yet the silence felt heavy. The strange forest glowed with soft light from the leaves, but there was no comfort in it. He stood with the mother and the little girl, his body still aching from the fight, his mind racing with questions. The girl sat on the ground, leaning against him, her small eyes finally closing in exhaustion. She had used too much of her strength during the attack. He could feel her heartbeat slowing as she drifted to sleep. He brushed her hair gently, feeling a strange warmth in his chest. The mother watched in silence, her face pale under the glow of the twin moons. She looked both strong and broken at the same time. Her hands held the glowing device tightly, as if it were her last lifeline. At last, she spoke, her voice trembling. "You saved her. You saved us both, and for that, I will never forget." He shook his head. "I only did what anyone would do." But the mother looked at him sharply. "No, not anyone. Others would have turned away, others would have feared us. But you stood with us. You fought when you had no reason to fight. That makes you different." Her words sank deep. He wanted to deny them, but he knew she was right. Something had changed inside him since the night he first saw the little girl. He could not walk away now. Not after everything. The mother sighed heavily. She looked up at the sky with its countless stars, her eyes filled with sadness. "I cannot keep running forever. My daughter cannot keep living in fear. She deserves a life, a family, a home. But I cannot give her that alone." Her voice cracked, the weight of years of struggle pressing down on her. He listened quietly, not wanting to interrupt. Her words were not just words, they were confessions of a heart that had carried too much pain. Finally, she turned her eyes to him, her gaze sharp but vulnerable. "That is why I must ask you something that will change your life." His chest tightened. "What is it?" he asked softly. The mother swallowed hard. "Be her protector, be her father, and be my husband." The words hit him like a storm. He froze, unable to answer, his mind flooded with disbelief. "What?" he whispered, his voice cracked. The mother's eyes filled with tears. "I know it sounds impossible. I know it is too much, but I have no choice. My people are gone, our world is broken, and my daughter is the last of her kind. I cannot trust anyone else, but I trust you." He felt the ground shift beneath him. His life had been simple, quiet, ordinary, and now this woman from another world was asking him to join her in a life of danger and love. His heart pounded, his lips trembled. "Why me?" The mother stepped closer, her voice steady but soft. "Because she chose you first. That night when you found her, she looked into your eyes and saw something. She told me you were different. She said you would protect her. She never says such things about anyone. You are not just a stranger to her, you are the one she trusts." He looked down at the sleeping girl, her tiny hand clutching his sleeve. Even in dreams, he felt her trust in that small grip. He remembered her whisper, "You are different," and he knew it was true, but fear still clung to him. "I do not know how to fight these hunters. I do not know your world. I am only human." The mother placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are human, but you have something they do not. You have courage. You risked your life for us without even knowing who we were. That is more powerful than any weapon." Her touch was warm, her eyes shining with both hope and desperation. He could see how much she needed him, not just for protection, but for survival, for a chance to give her daughter a future. He took a deep breath, his heart torn between fear and duty. He wanted to say yes, but the weight of such a promise felt enormous. He thought of his old life, his quiet home, his normal days. They were gone now, shattered the moment he stepped into their world. The mother's voice broke through his thoughts. "I am not asking for comfort or easy days. I am asking for a promise to stand by us when the hunters return, a promise to fight, a promise to be there when she calls you father." Tears filled her eyes, and for the first time, he saw not just strength but also deep loneliness in her. She had lost everything, her world, her people, her safety, and now she was asking him to become her only anchor. He knelt down beside the girl, brushing her hair gently. He whispered, "She deserves safety. She deserves love." Then he looked up at the mother, his voice steady but quiet. "I do not know if I am strong enough, but I will not abandon you." The mother covered her mouth with her hand, tears spilling down her cheeks. She nodded quickly, her voice breaking. "That is enough. That is all I needed to hear." The forest around them stirred with the sound of wind. The stars above seemed to burn brighter, as if the universe itself had heard the promise. But even as warmth filled their small circle, the shadows beyond the trees remained. The hunters would return, stronger and more ruthless. His choice had been made, but the real battle had not yet begun. The strange forest held them in silence. The twin moons glowed softly above, but even their light could not wash away the tension that hung in the air. He had made a promise to the mother, a promise to the little girl, but he knew promises alone would not stop the hunters. The girl stirred in her sleep, resting against him. Her small hand still clutched his sleeve, refusing to let go even in dreams. The mother sat nearby, her eyes fixed on the shadows between the glowing trees. Her voice was low, almost like she was speaking to herself. "They will return. They always return." He asked quietly, "How much time do we have?" The mother shook her head. "Not long. They will find this place no matter how well we hide. They are drawn to the device, drawn to her." She glanced at her daughter, her eyes filled with fear and love. He looked at the glowing device in her hands. Its soft light pulsed like a heartbeat. "Can it protect us?" he asked. The mother sighed. "It can open doors, it can bend paths, but it cannot fight for us. The real choice is not the device. It is us, whether we stand or run." Her words struck him deeply. He was not a soldier, not a hero, just an ordinary man who stumbled into something extraordinary. But now he had no way back. The hunters would not let him live peacefully, even if he walked away. They had seen his face. They had felt his defiance. The night deepened, and the forest grew restless. The leaves whispered like voices, and the air carried a strange vibration. Then he heard it, the sound of movement, fast, heavy, coming closer. The mother stood immediately, clutching the device. Her eyes widened. "They have found us." The girl woke suddenly, her eyes wide and glowing faintly in the moonlight. "They are here," she whispered. Her small voice carried more certainty than fear. He felt her hand tighten on his arm, as if she was ready to face it with him. The shadows between the trees shifted. Dark figures appeared, tall and merciless. Their glowing eyes burned through the mist. The hunters had come again, and this time there were more of them. The mother raised the device, a swirl of light forming in the air. The hunters spread out, surrounding them. Their voices echoed like metal grinding against stone. "Give us the child, and we will spare you." He stepped forward, his voice shaking but strong. "You will never take her." The hunters laughed, a cruel, hollow sound. One of them charged, moving with unnatural speed. He braced himself, grabbing a heavy branch from the ground. The clash was brutal. The branch cracked against the hunter's armor, sparks flying. The force nearly broke his arm, but he did not fall. He swung again, fueled by pure determination. The girl raised her hands, and symbols spun in the air, forming a shield of light. The hunter's strike hit the shield, sending ripples of energy through the clearing. The mother shouted, "Hold on, I will open the path." She pressed the device, and a doorway of stars began to form. But the hunters pushed harder. Their blows shook the shield. The ground trembled beneath their steps. He fought desperately, each strike weaker than the last. His body screamed with pain, but his heart refused to stop. He looked at the girl, her small face glowing with power, and knew he was fighting for more than survival. He was fighting for her future. The mother cried out, "The path is open, go now!" The doorway shimmered with light, showing another world beyond. The girl looked at him, her eyes filled with tears. "We cannot leave you," she whispered. His chest tightened. He wanted to go with them, to step into that light and escape the nightmare. But then he saw it. The hunters breaking through the shield, their claws reaching forward, their eyes burning with rage. If he stepped into the doorway, they would follow. The mother and the girl would never be safe. He understood in that moment what his choice had to be. He turned to the mother, his voice heavy but firm. "Take her and go. I will hold them here." The mother shook her head violently, tears streaming down her face. "No, I cannot leave you. You are part of us now." But he placed the girl's small hand into hers, whispering, "She needs you more than she needs me. Protect her. Give her the life she deserves." The girl sobbed, "No, please." Her voice broke his heart. He knelt and kissed her forehead, whispering, "Be strong, little one. Remember me." The hunters roared, closing in. He grabbed the broken branch again, standing tall, his body trembling but his eyes burning with fire. He shouted, "Go, now!" The mother pulled the girl toward the doorway, her own tears falling. The girl looked back one last time, her eyes shining with sorrow and love. Then the light swallowed them, and they were gone. The doorway flickered and vanished, leaving him alone with the hunters. He tightened his grip on the branch, his chest rising with each heavy breath. Fear filled him, but so did courage. He was no longer just an ordinary man. He was their protector, their shield, their hope. The hunters stepped forward, their shadows stretching across the clearing. He raised the branch, his voice steady. "You will not have them." And then, with the twin moons watching above, the final battle began.